I think they might have missed out a little bit, but I am very thankful. I am very thankful. In the month of gratitude, I am thankful for the coaching staff. I'm thankful for the offensive line. Evero playing a chess match with that defense. Derek Brown and J.C. Horn playing like all pros, because for that reason, you're in contention. I think you're right in this thing. I think you're a tier 2 team. I think you're in that conversation of teams in the hunt, in playoff contention. And for that reason, you are explicitly, and in fact, the polar opposite of the New York Jets. You are not selling at the deadline. You do not have people posting videos of their crying children online. And that is exactly what New York Jets fans are doing, crying babies. I mean, imagine you work a 9 to 5, you get home, and you have to explain your football team to the kids. How can you possibly explain away the state of the New York Jets to children? Like, it's like right up there with death in the family. Like, how do you explain that to the children? The atrocity, what's going on in New York. These kids are crying. They don't understand why it's the same thing year in and year out. And now the Jets are trading their players that can play for first round picks so they can select players that can't play and then be in the same situation in 2031. I have a few more gray hairs in my beard between now and then. And imagine having to deal with that. And you're not dealing with it. And it's a turning point. And now you're in contention. And now you feel happy about the football team. And now many people are actually calling for the Panthers to be buyers at the trade deadline. They thought you should have done more. They thought you should have been in on one of these big ticket names going around. Some people were talking about the Jets pass rushers, Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson. Jermaine Johnson, the Jets supposedly wanted a second round pick for. They ended up getting an offer they liked for Jermaine Johnson. But that is the conversation you're having. In fact, my favorite conversation the Panthers have had was one that allegedly went down with the New England Patriots, where Dan Morgan got on the phone with Elliott Wolf. And Elliott Wolf, and his voice, he goes, "Hey, Dan, how about we get a Chuba Hubbard for a 5th round pick?" And Dan Morgan is sitting in the office. His boots are on the table. He's got those big, like, ostrich leather boots. He's got his pre-workout cup. It's open. There's powder on the table. He's got his legs up. And he's got his phone, and he's twirling the line of the phone. He goes, "Chuba's not available. We're not giving you Chuba." And Elliott goes, "Well, Dan, come on. You guys aren't in contention. You're not that good of a team. We're 7-2. Give us Chuba." And Dan Morgan looks into the phone, and he goes, "You know what, Elliott? You know what we want? Give us Gonzo. We want Gonzo. And that's about it. We're not giving you our guy." And Elliott Wolf gives him the dial tone. It's like, get out of here, New England. We're in your class. We're competing for the playoffs. We're not giving you our running back. He's a backup. We still need him because he's part of the identity of this team. It's run the ball, stop the run. What happens if Rico gets hurt? He's limping. What happens if worse comes to worse? You need another guy. And Dan Morgan held strong, and he told the Patriots, go F off, kick sand. Go kick sand, New England. And he probably told it to them with a Boston accent. Get the heck out of here. Because we are buyers, if anything. And the fact that your GM allegedly, was having that conversation is a win for me. It's a win for me. Now, I think the Panthers should have been in on an edge rusher. I think there were a couple opportunities for them to add at the deadline, and I think they should have done it. This was a shower thought. You know when you have money in your Venmo, you got like a couple $100 in there, or you have cash in the wallet, and it's like, this money doesn't exist. Like, I have cash in my wallet. Who uses cash? Who uses cash? I put it on the credit card. I don't use cash. I haven't used cash in years. But this dollar bill is sitting in my wallet, and I'm in the store, and what am I going to do? Make a stupid, spontaneous, impulsive purchase. I'm going to do something dumb with the money because the money doesn't exist to me. It's in my wallet. I had no idea it was there. It's $20. Now it's gone. And I could care less because I didn't know it exists. I didn't even know it was there. And that is how I feel about the Panthers' 2027 fourth round pick. You got it for Adam Thielen. The Vikings shipped you the fourth round pick. It's a win. Thielen hasn't done anything. He has like 47 yards in Minnesota. Who cares? 2027 fourth round pick? Dude, in 2027, football is not even going to exist. It's going to be a bunch of aliens in anti-gravity propulsion systems in space throwing around an iPhone that they found on an apocalyptic dust field, which is now Earth. So get rid of the fourth round pick. Just get rid of it. And they could have done it. They could have signed, or rather traded for an edge rusher with that middle round pick. And there were guys available. I like Jaelan Phillips. And I wanted to talk about this earlier in the week, but I wanted the deadline to go by. I just wanted to make sure the Panthers weren't going to do anything. You could add Jaelan Phillips for a third round pick. Now, people go third round. That's a little steep. Trevin Wallace, he was a third round pick. Let's not talk about giving away a third rounder. Well, you have to remember, this is the Eagles' third round pick. So this is what? The 30th or so pick in the third round? Maybe later, depending on how good the Eagles are and how much they figure out the pass rush. So you probably could have gotten Jaelan Phillips for a fourth and some change, call it. Probably a 2026 fourth, okay. But I love the idea of Jaelan Phillips because he's on the fifth-year option. This is a guy that, I believe in 2023, played 6 games, had 6.5 sacks. He shined when he's on the field. I believe, I have it here, they called him, Howie Roseman called him a freak athlete. So he's a freak athlete. He has great potential. Roseman, he gave this to The Athletic, Diana Rossini. When there are opportunities to be aggressive for the right players, we're not going to sit on our hands. I don't think you have great success without taking great risks at times. We can't be afraid to fail. If there's an opportunity to do that, we'll take the opportunity to be the last team standing and put confetti on our head. So a little bit more extreme, because they were linked to Myles Garrett and I think even Sauce Gardner to a much, much lesser extent. But this is the thought process. It's like this guy, Jaelan Phillips, comes in. He makes us a contender. We have a pass rush that they literally had to call Brandon Graham and get him out of retirement to figure it out because they lost Josh Sweat, who the Panthers should have been in on in free agency, and Huff. So they lost their 2 edge rushers from last season. So they scramble this season and bring in Jaelan Phillips. Enter Jaelan Phillips. He's on the 5th-year option. He's gone probably after this season. But for the Panthers, I love that because it's like a free trial in a store. It's like a free trial. Like, you know, you get the software. What did I recently get a free trial of? Oh, I watched that show. What's the alien show? The Ancient Aliens or something like that. I'm out there. And I had to buy the History Channel. I'm like, who watches the History Channel? Like, maybe occasionally I'll watch Pawn Stars just because I like watching the guys heckle. But, like, I don't need the whole History Channel. Like, what? What am I going to do with that? Come on. Just go to a library. So I order a trial. And I trial it. And I get it for a couple of days. I binge my show. And then I forget about it. I cancel it. And I never use it again. But what if I found gold? What if the History Channel was awesome? What if people actually really enjoyed it? What if I could learn and there was tons of content and awesome stuff on there? I'm crapping on the History Channel. I feel pretty bad about it. But if there was awesome stuff there, then you have it in your system. Jaelan Phillips is in your system. He's there. You have the opportunity to bring him in and try him out for 2025. See if he gives you a spark. See if he puts you in contention. Nick Scorton, you're really comfortable in. I want Nick Scorton. I actually think there's a path for Nick Scorton to be your prime guy, your number 1 edge rusher. This is the new Brian Burns, the new guy you're building around at edge. Jaelan Phillips is icing on the cake, but maybe he helps put confetti on your head like Howie Roseman says. Maybe he gives you a spark. Maybe those injuries like J.C. Horn were an aberration earlier in his career. I believe Jaelan Phillips snapped the Achilles. That ended his impressive campaign in 2023. But injuries aside, maybe now he catches a spark. And in 2025, he comes into Carolina and he gives you great production off the edge. And then you have Uman Miele, and he can thrive in a more of a situational role. And you feel really comfortable. And all you have to give up is a middle round pick, which in the end of the day is going to be nothing because it's money laying around anyway. Your 4th round pick in 2027, well, you can move that around, and whatever you have to give up in 2026, it's really ancillary. It doesn't matter. You forget about it. You had no idea it was there. This is another guy I think they could have been in on. Penn State alum. You know I like Penn State if you listen to this program long enough. That's been a disastrous season for them. Now James Franklin is at Virginia Tech, of all places, and continuing his coaching career. Hopefully he gets them to be a really good program. Like, that would be awesome. Besides the point, I love James Franklin. I think he's a good guy. He just has not been able to win at a high level, which is the problem. Odafe Oweh of the Baltimore Ravens. This was earlier in the season, a couple weeks ago. I think 3 weeks ago, the Ravens traded Oweh to the Chargers. The exact trade, it's a little bit of a mouthful here. So the Chargers trade he's like a third string, third safety, Alohi Gilman, who I believe is actually playing pretty well in Baltimore right now. Notre Dame alum, supposedly convinced Kyle Hamilton to stay at Notre Dame when he wanted to transfer back to Georgia. Fun fact. So they trade Gilman and a 5th for Odafe Oweh and a 7th. So a later, you give up a 5th, but you get a 7th. And then you give not a journeyman, but a third string depth piece at safety. Now, the problem with this is I don't think the Panthers actually have a player like that, because they certainly won't want Nick Scott. I don't think you have a player that is pretty good on your roster, could be a starter somewhere else, and is not playing. Because if they had a player like that, he would be playing. Maybe an offensive lineman or something. I don't know. The Chargers, they do need O-line, but they would be trading with the Ravens. So I don't know. I don't know. You could have made it work. I'm sure that Ravens would have taken a 4th round pick. I'm sure they would have taken a 4th rounder for Odafe Oweh, or maybe even a 3rd rounder. I don't know. In 2027, it doesn't, the earth is scorched. It doesn't exist. 2027. What is that? What is that? But I would have loved Oweh for a similar reason. He's on his 5th year option. It's a cap hit of $9.57 million. So Phillips also on his 5th year option. You have cap space. You have $16 million in cap. And again, this is a guy that you bring in, and similar to what Ikem Ekwonu is doing, where you put him on the field, you see how it goes, you see if you like him, you trial Odafe Oweh, and you see if it works. And both these moves have been widely considered A+ good moves for both teams. And I think the Panthers would have a similar response because, look, the Panthers are in contention. And the reason Dan Morgan didn't make a move like this is maybe because he doesn't think it's worth it. And Canales added some color. He goes, all those picks in the draft are really important for us as we continue to build this team. Joe Person goes on, the Panthers currently exist in that gray space between unloading sought-after veteran players for draft picks and starting over and kicking caution to the curb to go after that final piece to get them to another Santa Clara Super Bowl. So they're in that gray area. I honestly think Joe Person believes they're more so in the unloading veteran players and adding draft capital space. Because just a couple days ago, Joe Person said they thought this was a 3-year rebuild. And the Panthers are kind of surprised they're 5-4 right now. It's like, what's going on? It's that Hemi Hardaway meme that keeps going on X, where it's John Daly and Tiger Woods looking at each other. Tiger Woods is the Chiefs, and the Panthers are John Daly. It's like, how are we playing the same sport at a professional level? Like, John Daly, was out freaking drinking until 3 a.m. This guy's hitting balls all day, and we're still playing the same sport at a high level. It doesn't even make sense. We're both 5-4. This doesn't make any sense. And maybe the Panthers kind of feel like that. They're watching John Daly go to the club and hang out in the Playboy Mansion, and then They're getting wins on Sundays, and it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense, and maybe that's why they didn't pull the trigger on one of these edge rushers or another player even that might have been available. Now, I'm really glad they didn't give up the house. I'm glad they didn't do it for Micah Parsons. I'm glad they didn't do it for Sauce Gardner like the Colts did. For those respective teams, I like it. You love a player. You think they're a top 5 defensive player. You love what they add. You trade the house for them. You trade your late first round picks. What did Howie Roseman say? Great risks to put the confetti on your head. So the Panthers eventually will need to do that. But again, this is a team that continues to hit in the first round. Panthers' first round picks are actually very valuable. Aside from maybe a couple aberrations like Xavier Legette, who technically could have been a second round pick and was widely considered a second round pick, the Panthers continue to hit in the first round. Tetairoa McMillan, Ikem Ekwonu, J.C. Horn, Derek Brown, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey. If you go back in history, Brian Burns, they don't have a problem hitting the first round pick. So giving up 2 firsts for a really good defensive player, that would have scared me. This is the tone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I went way too long on this. Did not want this segment to go this long, to be honest. Impressive. I thought this was going to be like 8 minutes and we're out the door. I thought this was going to be like a drive-through at Wendy's, but it's not. I want a Baconator.